Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Delaney, and for today's video we're going to be doing another declutter because I need to go through this and I've been putting it off because I don't know why. Today we are going to be going through my bronzer and face palette drawer. So if you are interested in seeing what stays and what goes, then keep on watching. We're going to dive in. I know y'all really like declutters, so I definitely want to get more of this content to y'all. It just takes time to film and edit, so bear with me. So let's go ahead and start out with my cream bronzers because I have the fewest of those. So going ahead and starting out with the Makeup by Mario cream bronzer, the soft sculpt shaping stick in the shade light medium. It is a little bit deep for my skin tone, but I can still make it work. I think they have a cooler, lighter version, but it was sold out when I had gotten it. I still like this shade. I probably would use the lighter shade more, but this has such, it's not wanting to focus. This has such a great lasting power that this is definitely going to stay in my collection. This is something that I reach for events and when I need to have my makeup last in the heat. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Also, don't mind my nails. I don't have any polish on them. It's a very rare occasion where I don't have my nails painted, so just bear with me, okay? Next up, we have the Eye Bright Illuminating Under Eye Concealer. That's a really long name. But this is in the shade Deep Caramel, and I use it to contour. If it would freaking focus. Okay, there we go. I use this to contour. It is a beautiful, beautiful bronzy contour on me. It actually blends out really, really well and almost is similar to the Charlotte Tilbury, but just not as easy and effortless to blend out. It does require a little bit more work, but the end result is very similar and looks really beautiful on the skin. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. And it also has the sponge tip applicator. I know a lot of people really, there we go, has the sponge tip applicator. I know a lot of people really enjoy that, myself as well. It does get very messy, so just keep that in mind, but it is a beautiful product. So I'm going to go ahead and keep. Next up in the spongy poofy category is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand in the shade Fair Light. I am in love with this product. I like this better than the Makeup Revolution one, and almost, I think, equally to the Charlotte Tilbury one. This one is more of a contour, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury is more of a bronze and actually like a warm glow. This is a contour, like gray undertone shade, which is why I really, really enjoy this one. It is unique in my collection for cream bronzers, and I'm going to keep this one, and it is a very affordable product and works super, super well. So definitely try this if you have not yet. And does have that kind of luminous glow to it. It's not a matte contour, which I really enjoy. So keep. One that I probably will be decluttering. So I have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. This is in the shade Tan Lines. I haven't reached for this in a very, very long time. I think I'm just more into the liquid bronzers than the like gel consistency bronzers that I used to be into. So I'm just going to go ahead and declutter this. I think I do need the more contour like shade. This one I like, but just is not my 100% favorite. So the formula is good. I think I do need the more contour like shade for my skin tone, and it's just not what I've been reaching for lately. But I have used it a ton, as you can tell from the dip in here, but it's also pretty old, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. Next up, I have the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand, and I don't know why I'm having trouble with this focusing, but I'm sorry, bear with me. This is a Hollywood Contour Wand in the shade Fair Medium. It's really hard to tell on the packaging, but this is a gorgeous product, and I'm going to use this up until it's empty. Will I repurchase this over the e.l.f.? That is yet to be determined. I don't know. It looks gorgeous, but I use it for more events than I do every day because of the price point. So who knows? We'll have to see when this is empty, but I really do enjoy the way this blends out and looks on the skin, so I'm going to keep. Okay, I only have a few more cream bronzer things in here, so let's just keep going with that. Next up, I have the Beauty Blender Bounce Magic Fit Creamy Bronzer and Highlighter Duo. I got this in Influencer in exchange for a review, and I am not 100% a fan of this product. This is the cream bronzer, and on the top it has a kind of putty highlighter in here. It's not terrible, but not my favorite consistency ever. It's a little bit more putty-like than the Super Shock, and it doesn't have as much of an impact as the Super Shock shadows, and I don't end up reaching for the cream bronzer. So I think I'm going to declutter this and give it to my friend who can definitely get some use out of it. So this is going to be a declutter. This one I got in a boxy charm, and this is from Alley Oop, and I've never actually heard of the brand before, but I really like the packaging. It kind of flows out like this, and then the top part comes up. It's a really cool component, but I just never use it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. And if you hear my dog growling in the background, he is playing with a toy, and I don't have the heart to stop him. So declutter. Another cream bronzer that I'm going to keep. This is from Rare Beauty, and I will say this color is not as much for me. This is in Power Boost. I really need the other shade, but now that it is summertime and I'm a little more tan, it will work out for me a little bit better. It just has more of an orange undertone that I'm used to, so I have to use it in the summertime, but it blends out really beautifully. But yeah, I have to use it in the summertime only because of the shade. So now that it is summer, I can whip it out, but I really want the contour shade in this. I love the formula, so I think I'll like it a lot, but I'm going to keep it. NYX. I have loved this for a long time. This is the Wonder Stick, but look at this packaging. It literally grosses me out. And it keeps falling out and like hitting the bottom. And I actually used a ton of this. Like, I'm almost done with this. So I think I can just call it a day. And then the highlight side, I've used a little bit, but it keeps falling out and looks absolutely disgusting. Look, there's a hair on it. Ugh, nope, I'm not keeping it. I'm not keeping it. It's gross. It was old, but not that old. But it's just the packaging is, you can see, it's a declutter. That's a no-brainer. But the formula is not bad. I actually enjoyed the formula a lot. All right. Up next, I do have a stick foundation from Merit Beauty, and it is more of a bronzer shade on me. It is a little bit more leaning orange. It is, however, a foundation stick and not an actual bronzer. It's not made to be a bronzer. It does work to bronze and warm up my skin. So I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't use this shade as often. I did get this in PR. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this shade. I have a different shade that's actually closer to my skin tone and for foundation purposes, but I don't use this as a bronzer, so I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. The formula of this for a stick foundation is actually really good. I just, as a bronzer, I don't use it as that, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. But I am going to keep this one from Merit Beauty. This is their cream bronzer stick in Quince. It's their bronzer balm in Quince, and the shade is perfect for me. It is gorgeous. I love how natural it looks on the skin. It's almost more sheer, but you definitely can build it up. I love the packaging. It does get dirty pretty easily, so anything with mirrored packaging is going to do that, but I really enjoy this formula. It is not the most long-lasting bronzer on my skin, but it looks gorgeous and radiant and natural on my skin, and therefore I will be keeping. I really enjoy this product. Much better than the stick foundation version. I like this much better, and it is actually made to be a bronzer, so that could have something to do with it. So keep. I forgot I had this, to be honest. This is from Soul Body, and this is ColourPop's sister brand, and it is the bronzing face and body bronzing balm in the shade Light. This is way too orange for me. It looks okay when you're looking at it like this, but it comes off really orange on my skin, and I am not a big fan of that. It also has a very strong fragrance, and that is just not something that I'm looking at for my collection right now. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. I have not touched it in so long, so I'm going to declutter. I think that was all of the cream bronzer products, so I'm going to go ahead and dive into the bronzer, powder bronzers now. So I do have some duos, some trios, and some singles, so I think I'm going to go with the singles first, just because that might be easier. You know what? I'm just going to go as I go. So, it'll be fine. Next up, I have the Bronze and Glow from Natasha Denona. I love this bronzer shade. This highlighter shade, I don't get a ton of use out of. It's a little bit on the deeper side for me, but I can still get away with using it. But this bronzer is really beautiful, and it's a great travel product, and it's kind of hard to tell, but I've used a ton of this. I am going to go ahead and keep. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to last before I pan it, but I really enjoy this formula, so I'm going to keep. I have a bunch of mini Hoola products here. I don't think I need to keep all of them. I thought I was going to use them because they were good for travel, but I really haven't touched them because, as you will see coming up soon, I have a favorite bronzer, and I am loyal as hell to that bronzer. I don't bring anything else with me, so I think it's time that I can actually say goodbye to these. So, yeah. I do like the Hoola Light to blend my powder into the bronzer, so maybe I'll keep one of those, but I don't need all of these. I actually did use the Hoola Light a lot, so I'm going to get rid of this one, keep this other little baby one as like a blending product for bronzer and making my skin look airbrushed, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the minis, and I did use a lot of this, but it's just time to go. So declutter these two, keep this one mini. And then I have the big Hoola bronzer. I haven't touched this. It's a little dark for my skin. That's probably why I haven't used it, so I think I can go ahead and declutter it. Yeah, I think I can go ahead and declutter this. I really don't reach for it very often. I know that so many people love this bronzer, but I don't know. Like, it doesn't compare to my favorite one at all. And maybe it's because I'm a fair-skinned gal and this is a little too deep for me, but I'm going to go ahead and finally get rid of this. I do have a mini Laguna bronzer. I'm going to be real honest. I haven't used this. I need to actually test it and review it because I don't know if I like this or not. So I'm going to keep it for now, and if I don't like it, I will declutter it. But for now, it stays. Let's keep it moving. So next up, I have a bronzer that I'm going to be keeping. This was the Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion. I don't know why that name is hard for me, but this is a beautiful bronzer. I am kind of conflicted about this product. I got it in the makeup kit for my online makeup academy course, and it's very light. It's a different texture too. It's not like super pigmented off the bat. I do like it, especially when I'm doing makeup on other people, but for me and like my fast makeup, this is more of like a take your time and build kind of a bronzer. I am going to keep it for when I do makeup on other people, but for my everyday makeup, it's not as pigmented as I would like it, but it does have a spot in my collection, so I'm going to be keeping. This one, I'm going to be honest, I haven't really used a ton. I used it a couple times. This is the Revlon Skin Light Prismatic Bronzer. I got this because I was in love with the Skin Light's Prismatic Highlighter. I did end up decluttering that if you look at my video, and you can go find out why. I did love the formula, but I had to declutter. But I tried this because it was from the same line, and it looks really great on the skin, but if you can tell up close, it's got glitter in there, like straight up glitter, and that's not my favorite for a bronzer, to be honest. Like, glitter is not what I want. I want a nice radiance, but not a glitter in a bronzer, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. This one from ColourPop, I tried it a few times. I'm not impressed. It's one of their powder bronzers. I got this from Target, and I'm just not loving it. Am I doing something wrong with it? Please let me know. It doesn't really show up on my skin. Maybe I got the wrong color. I don't know. But it just doesn't do much for my skin. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. City bronzer, I do enjoy. It's not my favorite bronzer of all time, but it does work really well. And it is a good shade for me, especially in the winter time when I'm more on the fair side than I even am now, if that's possible. I do think that it's not as blendable as my favorite bronzer ever, and that is why this does not win for my favorite bronzer, but it's good enough to keep, so I'm gonna keep. All right, Cover FX. This is the shade Sunkissed. I used this a ton. It's time to go though. It's really old. I don't reach for it anymore. time to say goodbye, but I really did love this. I just found a cheaper alternative that I really do enjoy. I'm gonna declutter this one. This one I got in a BoxyCharm. This one I got in a BoxyCharm. It's from Kimchi Chic Beauty, and it is Taylor Bronzer. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I went to Malibu. I didn't even know the shade name, but it's really hard to open. Okay, there we go. It actually, like, it's very pigmented. Do I need to try it? You know what? I don't know if I've given it a fair shot. I'm going to test it out. I think I've used it once and I didn't fall in love with it immediately, but I need to try it more than once before I can make a decision. So I'm going to keep this. We're getting into the big pans over here. So I have been holding on to this for way too long. This is the Bronze Goddess Estee Lauder bronzer. I kept this because it's good for body because it has such a big pan, but to be honest, I haven't reached for it. So I think I'm going to declutter. I got this from TJ Maxx a long time ago. I was a sucker for the packaging. It's in shade 01 Light. It's actually a good formula. I don't find that it's my favorite. So I'm gonna declutter. This one from Iconic London is kind of a toss-up. I do like the shade, but I'm not 100% a fan of the formula on me. It's okay, just not great. Again, I was keeping it around because it's a nice big pan of bronzer and it is a nice shade. I just don't reach for it, to be honest. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. Oh, I forgot, this is actually a cream and it's the only one in a component like this. So that's why it wasn't with my other ones. This is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Charlotte Tilbury, what's it called? Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer. I really like this. This is a great cream bronzer product, and I love how much product you get in here. I'm going to keep this one. Yeah, it's beautiful. It is a little bit more stiff than some cream product bronzers that I have, but it is really good and does have good lasting power, so I'm going to keep. Another Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. This is beautiful and one of my favorite bronzers of all time. Definitely my favorite high-end bronzer. This is the Airbrush bronzer, and it is the matte one in my collection. I, as you can tell, have used this so much. The shade is perfect on me. The blend is perfect. It just looks so natural and effortless, and I will 100% be repurchasing this when I pan it, and I think I will pan it. I love how big the pan is, and I love using it on my face and body. All around, an amazing bronzer, and if I'm reaching for a matte bronzer, it's this one 100% of the time. So I am keeping this one. I do really love and has kind of won me over a bit. When I got it, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but this is the Fenty Beauty Chocolate Swiller Toasted Swirl Bronze Shimmer Powder, sorry. It definitely is a shimmer powder, and when I first tried it, I was expecting it to be a bronzer, and I wasn't using it correctly. But this, in the summertime, I mean, is like, your skin is like gold. I don't know how else to describe it. It is just so pretty. It's almost like a gold highlighter. And I know I said I didn't like a glitter in my bronzer, but this one is like so sophisticated. I just absolutely love it, and I love it all over the body. And the pan is big enough to actually use all over my body, so I'm gonna keep this one. So gorgeous. Before I move on to the palettes, let me talk about my favorite bronzer of all time. And just to prove it, look at that. I have almost completely panned this one, and this is my second or third one. I think it's my second. I don't know. Is it my second? Either way, doesn't matter. I have almost panned this, and this is a repeat purchase, so you can imagine how much I've been using of this. I use it every single day. The formula is radiant, but not sparkly. It is cool toned, but warm toned enough that it looks nice and bronzy on my skin. This is in shade Light 01, and it is the True Match Lumi Bronze It from L'Oreal. It is amazing for the face, for the body, everywhere. It's just amazing. It makes my skin look healthy and glowy and beautiful. I can use this as a contour, a bronzer, it doesn't matter. It's just, it looks beautiful anytime I wear it, really. So I always end up taking this with me whenever I'm doing my makeup, whenever I'm traveling. It doesn't matter if there's a travel size or not. This goes into my makeup bag. Like, this is 100% going to be in my makeup bag if I'm going anywhere, or if I'm doing my makeup at any time for any event. I set cream bronzer with this. It looks beautiful. I use it on its own for a quick makeup day. I can use a little bit of it for a natural day. I can build it up for glam. It is the absolute perfect bronzing product in my collection. Nothing else truly compares to this. Other than, I will say, if I want the matte version and not the radiant version, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer, that is the only thing that comes close. But this, in my heart, is like my true favorite, and it is drugstore. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, I have another one, and I did dive into the other one too. So yeah, yeah. I'm going to be keeping both of them. I'm going to be finishing off this one and then moving on to the other one. But yeah, I've repurchased it yet again, and I will keep repurchasing it until it is no longer there. So thank you, L'Oreal. This bronzer is just amazing. It is not PR. I bought this with my own money each time. But hey, L'Oreal, if you want to hit me up, a lifetime supply of this bronzer would be absolutely amazing. So I'm going to be keeping both of these. Moving on to palettes. This one from Charlotte Tilbury, this is the Film Star Bronze and Glow. Truthfully, I haven't used this as much recently because of the L'Oreal bronzer, but this duo is actually great. I've used a ton of it, if you can tell from the dip in here, and actually both sides. This is a beautiful contour product. It is light enough that I can use it as a bronzer or contour, but this other side over here definitely hasn't been used as of late, but I did use this a lot as a subtle highlighter, or to like blend out the bronzer and add some radiance to it, but this does have a little bit of its own radiance. I haven't used it in a long time because of other products in my collection. I definitely want to revisit this and see if I still love it. I think I do, so I'm going to go ahead and keep for now, and we'll see, but I'm going to go ahead and keep. One that I know I can go ahead and declutter. This I got in a BoxyCharm. This is the Hydrating Complexion Trio from Alamar Cosmetics. Got this in a BoxyCharm. It is really gorgeous. Like, the formula is actually good. Not my favorite, but it is good. It's more on the radiant side, not the matte side. You can see a little sheen to it. It's more on the radiant side. I just don't use the deeper shade. I use the middle shade, and I don't have really much of a use for the brightening shade, because that's just not a product that I tend to reach for. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. A similar product is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer Contour Palette. Now this one is a little bit more compact, and I think I am going to keep this one. So if I ever do makeup on someone who has a deeper skin tone than me, I can go ahead and use this deeper bronzer. I can only use the top shades in this palette. I do like this one right here as like a subtle bronzer for a natural day, and then I can deepen it up with this one. Usually I mix the two shades. I do like the formula of the butter bronzer. I just don't tend to like the fragrance added to it. This one has a scent, but it's not as crazy in your face as the one that's like a single. So this one I could deal with. I will keep this one in my collection. But yeah, it's not my favorite bronzer ever, obviously, but I do want to keep something in my collection if I do makeup on someone who has a deeper skin tone than me, because I clearly cannot use my bronzer if that's the case. This one is definitely a keep. This is from MAC, and it is their, oh god, it's hard to read. MAC Shiny Pretty Things Face Compact. This is a holiday one from a while ago, and it actually has some beautiful formulas in here. The bronzer is really good, the blush is really good, and the highlight is gorgeous. So I am definitely going to keep this as a travel palette. It has the perfect shades for me in it. So, and I really like the embossing. I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Beautiful mirror, beautiful packaging, shades that all work for me. Going to be keeping. Another one that I'm going to be keeping, this is from Hourglass, and it is dirty as heck. Oh my god, what the hell got on this? This is a little bit dirty, but this is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Sculpture Unlocked palette. It's a really long name, But again, this is a palette that every single shade works for me. Has a finishing powder, like the ambient lighting powder, a highlighter, a bronzer that's definitely radiant, and a blush. And all of these shades work for me. I love all the formulas in here. And it is a great palette to travel with, so I'm definitely going to be keeping, and it's perfect for events and things like that. I love how the Hourglass powder products work for my skin, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep. This has had so much love in my collection. I used to have 3 of them, and I panned most of them, or most of the shades in them, and this is the last one standing. This is the Perfector Face Palette by Cover FX, and I don't even know if they sell this anymore. This is light medium. Got this in a BoxyCharm originally, and I loved it so much I kept getting it. I just don't know. I don't know if it still exists, but I think I do need to give it a little bit more love before decluttering it. This contour shade I used the most, and the finishing powder came in second. The other shades, like the highlighters, are a little bit deep for me. The blush was really beautiful, and the brightener is really beautiful, but definitely the highlighters are too deep for my skin tone most of the time. But yeah, it's a gorgeous palette. I'll have to check to see how old this is. I might just need to declutter it. It's been a long time, and it says it has a 12-month shelf life. It's been years, guys. It's been years, and it pains me to declutter this because I loved it so much. So I think I am going to have to declutter it. It's been a really long time, and I think it's time to go. Dang. Another Physicians Formula little palette here. This is the Glow Face Palette, the limited edition one. I don't know if it's still available, but I got it from Target. It has a beautiful highlighter, a blush, and a bronzer. I can use all 3 of these shades. This one is a little bit deep for me, but I can use a light hand and get away with it. The blush is this beautiful, glowy, radiant blush. And this highlighter, oh my god, do you see how pigmented that is? Just right off the bat. It's stunning. Yeah, I definitely keep it mostly for the highlighter shade. Be careful with it. It's very fragile. You can see it cracking here. I've had to repress it a couple times. But again, a beautiful travel face palette. I brought this traveling with me a lot, and I really enjoy it. I do wish that the formulas stood up a little bit more to rough and tumble, like for travel. I can't take this on an airplane, for instance, but if I'm taking it in a car and I'm careful with my makeup bag, I can take it. I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. Just keep that in mind. I do wish the bronzer shade was just a hair lighter. I wish they had like this and then a deeper version. So I will say that, but it is a beautiful, beautiful product. This is from Juvia's Place, and this is their bronzed light bronze palette. I think that's what it's called, but it has 2 bronzer shades, 1 contour, 1 bronze-ish, like cool toned and warm toned. And I absolutely love this. Perfect for my skin tone. You can see how much I've used it based on, especially this shade right here. You can see how much I've used it. I really enjoy it. It actually has a very similar feel to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Matte. But I really do enjoy this one as well. So I think I'm going to keep that one in addition to the Charlotte Tilbury. I know that could be considered extra, but I like the formula and it's my collection, so I can do what I want. Okay, this one, I love Kaleidos, but it's time for this one to go. And if you watched my blush declutter, I did go ahead and get rid of the blush palette. This one, I don't even know if they sell it anymore. It is an older product. The formula's fine, but I mostly use this center shade right here, and the pan's not big enough for my brush, so it was really hard to dip into. This one can work. You can see the pan, like kind of in here. I have used a lot of it. It's just time to go. It's gotten a lot of use, but I don't even know if they sell it anymore. This is the Warm and Medium Charisma Contour Palette. If you go on my Instagram, you'll see how many photos I was using this palette in. It really was a great palette, but it's time to go because I don't reach for it anymore. All right, Patrick Ta. This one, I have hit pan. I really, really enjoy this cream bronzer. The powder one is good, but this cream is even better. And I do need to use a little bit more of it before I either repurchase or declutter. So I'm going to keep for now. but I will eventually need a new one because this one is old and getting up there. This is in She's Statuesque. Again, if you look back, if you look back at my Instagram and see how many pictures I have used this, you can see how much I loved this. And it is a great formula. And I love that it's a duo. I may end up having to repurchase this at some point, but I know the Give Beauty by Gwen Stefani has come out with something similar to this in smaller packaging and clean formula, so I think I might want to try that before repurchasing this. But this formula is absolutely gorgeous. All right, let me get rid of these so we have some more room. Pixi, I got these two in PR, and I absolutely love their powder product formulas. If you watched my other declutter, you'll see how many Pixi products I kept. I don't know if I need both of these, but it's really hard to decide which one to keep. So let's see. This one is more of a warm toned coral leaning palette, and it has a bronzer in here, but then has like warmer toned highlights. This one is definitely on the lighter side. It has 2 blushes and then 2 pinky toned highlights. I think I'm gonna keep one. And I think I'm gonna keep Sugar Blossom. I don't know. I really do love both of them. See, this one I use more in the summertime and the other one in the winter. See how this is much more of like a warm toned summer thing? I really use this one a lot, you can tell. Dang. This is hard. I really don't want to declutter both of them. You know what? I'm going to keep both. It's my collection. I can keep both. Yep, that's just what's going to happen. This one is not as good of a declutter so far as my other ones, but I only buy things if I really want them for this kind of a category. It's not like eyeshadow palettes where I want to try and review a million products. All right, next up is also something I'm going to be keeping. It's a little bit newer in my collection, but not new to the makeup world. This is the MAC Holiday Palette from maybe like a year or two ago. This is the Effervescence Extra Dimension Face Compact in light. And I love this packaging. It's really cute. It looks like it has water droplets and it has this big bow. I saw Teresa's Dead's video about this and she was really disappointed. I really like this. It's not my favorite bronzer formula, but the highlights are really good. And I got this on a heavy discount. She might have paid full price. I don't know. But I got this on a heavy discount. And especially for the discounted price, this is gorgeous. Especially this blush shade here and this highlighter. The contour I have in the other palette, so that I could kind of take or leave. But these Extra Dimension skin finishes are gorgeous. So I'm going to go ahead and keep. This one I'm debating on decluttering. This is the Volume 2 Saturday Detention Physicians Formula Breakfast Club palette. And it's just too deep for my skin tone. I'm going to have to give it to a friend. I got this at TJ Maxx thinking that I could use it. I can really only use the highlighter and the blushes. Everything else is too deep for me. So I'm going to have to declutter, even though I love the branding. I love the theming. I like the formulas too, but I just can't use all of them. So I'm going to declutter. This one too. This is from Ofra, and it is their Good to Go, all of the lights. No, their Good to Go mini mix palette. Really great mix of shades in here. I just don't reach for it ever. I got this in a BoxyCharm. I'm going to give this to a friend because I know they can probably use this. I just don't reach for it. I don't reach for all-in-one palettes with eyeshadows and blush and bronzer and highlighter all in one. I have a much more complicated relationship with makeup, so I'm going to go ahead and give this to a friend. I'm sure that I can find someone who can use this, but this one is Declutter. This one from Pixi. This is Pixi and Promise collaboration, and it is the Shapeshifter Palette Sculptor. And this one I love for when I'm doing makeup on other people because I have light shades, I have medium shades, I have deep shades. I have all the shades that I'm going to need to do makeup on any skin tone, and I love that. I have lighter, like brightening shades, I have contour shade, I have bronzers, a highlighter or an eyeshadow, or a highlighter or an eyeshadow. I mean, like, there's so many different uses for these products, and again, Pixi has a beautiful formula. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. If you haven't tried Pixi's powder product formula, please do. is amazing. I did get this in PR, but that does not change the fact that I really love their powder formula, okay? So just try it and let me know what you think. This one, I'm also going to be keeping. This is from Online Makeup Academy. This is their Pro Line Contour Blush Highlight Palette. This one, I will say, of the Online Makeup Academy palettes, is the one that I am least likely to be dipping into because the pans are just so big and it's really hard to take with me on a regular basis. But if I'm going to be doing makeup on someone, I would take this with me. It is a great palette. I especially like these two shades here. This one is like a very natural bronze on me that I really enjoy, and then I can deepen it up with this one. These are great, like mattifying powders, and the blushes are really nice. It's just huge pans. Like you can see it's huge. So I don't use it all the time, but I am going to be keeping, and especially because I am, working with my online makeup. I'm working with Online Makeup Academy right now doing a review, so I'm just going to keep it for that purpose as well. So this one is a keep. All right, we have emptied this drawer. I do not see anything left. So let me go ahead and put everything back, and I'll meet up with you in a second. All right, so here is my completed drawer. I definitely did a good job of making some space in here. This may not be the way my drawers end up looking in general, but this is the bronzers and face palettes that I did decide to keep. And eventually, after all my declutters, I probably will reorganize my vanity in a way that makes a little bit more sense, just for my everyday makeup and organization purposes. But for now, I think this looks good. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I kept. I may eventually declutter more, but I'm good with how I am right now. Here's my declutter pile. I think I did okay. It's one of the smaller categories in my collection, so I'm not too mad about it, but I maybe could have done better, but I'm pretty happy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more declutters from me, please let me know in the comments. What category would you like to see next? Also, what color would you like me to paint my nails? Because I have decision fatigue. I need help. But yeah, so I will definitely be filming more and more content for y'all coming soon. Keep a lookout for that. Notification bell on. Please like, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.